guys, this is Shane Matthews, and I am transgendered. I'm nervous, so bear with me. I guess the best place to start is at the beginning, so here goes. I was born 27 years ago, in East Texas. It's a very religious family. My dad's a Baptist preacher. My stepmom's dad is a Baptist preacher as well. First and foremost, let me say that I'm not speaking ill of any religious organization. That's not what I do. I have my own personal belief system, my own personal spirituality type stuff, I guess you could say. But I'm in no means here to offend anybody by saying that my way is the only way. I've had enough of that over the years, and that's not how I play. So, that being said, I came out as lesbian when I was 19. I'd met my first girlfriend on the internet because I grew up graduated in a very small town in Texas. And there wasn't really a whole lot of gay people. I mean, I graduated with 18 people. Come on now. Came out as a lesbian after graduated high school. I was on the computer a lot. That's where I met most of my friends, most of my acquaintances. A couple of them I've been friends with ever since. That's where all my relationships came from for a while. She lived in Utah. Again, I was in Texas. We communicated for about 8 months, just back and forth, and then she flew down to Dallas. We spent a week and a half together, decided that, we wanted to be together, and we made that decision. I came back home, after I flew up there with her. I came back home, and I called my mom, who lived in Georgia, which is where I'm at now. She lived in Georgia at the time, and I told her. It went over like a lead balloon. We fought about it, whatever. Over the years, let me rewind. That happened in May. In June, July, somewhere in there, I decided that I was going to move up to Utah. And I was going to move in with my first girlfriend. And we were going to be happy together forever. Well, it didn't quite work out that way. But about 3 weeks of being up there, her office found out about us. She's a deputy sheriff for the county up there. And they found out about us and said, this isn't gonna fly up here. So, either you're fired, you quit, or adios. So, I said, alright, well, just to make it easier on you, I'll go back to Texas, we'll still be together, and then as soon as we can, we'll look into moving somewhere else so that we can be together. It's not that big a deal. So about a week after I got home, she ended up breaking up with me. I became a zombie. Ate, slept, worked, that was it. Started working nights, so I was literally sleeping anywhere between 12 to 16 hours a day, easy. That's all I did. That's all I did. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't go anywhere other than work and school. I was still in school. I was working on my degree in mass communications. That was in 2006. Right around, I guess it had to have been right around December, January, somewhere in there. I had decided that there was something a little bit more to just me being lesbian. I had always, over the years, when I looked into the future, I didn't see myself as a woman. I never saw myself as anything but a guy. I mean, that's weird at 19, right? when you're a little kid, you can get away with stuff like that, and people think, oh, it's just a phase, whatever. And I went through that. I went through the whole, oh, you're just a tomboy, you'll grow out of it, you'll get into the feminine stuff. And yeah, no, it didn't happen. So, after we broke up, like I said, I decided that there was something a little bit more to this. So I called my mom, and my mom has been, up until recently, my best friend. We've been through a lot together. She was only 20. She was 19. She turned 20 a month after she had me. So we grew up together, pretty much. She was still very sheltered when she married my dad at 18. She graduated high school in May, and she married my dad in July. And then 8 years later, they divorced in September. So, August, whatever. Anyway, so I called my mom, and she said, hey, I think, I was watching something the other day. It was a documentary, and a lot of it reminded me of you. She said, have you ever heard of gender identity disorder? They don't call it that now. That's how long I've been around. I was like, no, what is that? And so she went into some detail about what it was, and everything that she said was just spot on. I mean, having friends that are, the opposite gender, just everything, interest, just everything that I was raised to think that boys liked, I liked. Everything that I was raised to believe that girls liked, I hated. Wanted nothing to do with it. Barbies, I would pull their heads off. Sometimes I'd try blowing them up if I could. Yeah, I was that kid. So I looked into it. I did extensive research and decided that this is what I was gonna do. I was gonna start taking testosterone. I was planning on top surgery. I was planning on bottom surgery. I was planning on doing all of it. I was living with my dad and my stepmom at the time, and they took it. My dad chose to ignore it, but he chooses to ignore anything that he doesn't want to talk about. To this day, we haven't talked about the fact that I'm gay. Well, that I came out as gay, whatever. We haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about the fact that I'm trans. We don't talk. We have a very sarcastic, witty kind of banter back and forth. That's how we communicate. Which is fine. I mean, we make it work, whatever. My stepmom was, I guess she was humoring me, so to speak. She's like, okay, well, we'll get you into some counseling, and then we'll see what the counselor says. All right, cool. So I go into this counselor, and I'm like, look, this is what I want to do. This is what's going on. And she's like, yeah, sure, not a big deal. If you start shaving every day and all that, the odds are you might start growing some facial hair. So I'm like, all right. So went in, started shaving all the time, whatever. Of course, nothing happened because you have to have the right hormones for that to happen. Anyway. So the whole time she's encouraging me and telling me that this is what I need to do and I need to go for it and all of this, she's on the other phone telling my stepmom that, oh, I'm just confused and it's not so much a gender identity issue so much as it's just an identity issue altogether and I'll grow out of it and it's not a big deal. She doesn't need to worry about it. No wonder she was humoring me so well. So, this was, like I said, December, January, February, somewhere in there. In May, I had some friends that were living in Dallas. One of my friends that I'd met on the internet lived out in California, and she met her then girlfriend who was living in Dallas, and so she decided that she was going to move from California to Dallas to be with her girlfriend. So she called me, and I'd already come out as trans to her or whatever, and she was fine with it. She was like, whatever's going to make you happy. And funny, I updated Facebook early this morning saying that I was going to do this video, and the first comment was from her, and she said, I was talking about how nervous I was going to be or whatever, and She was like, you're gonna be fine, you know, this is what you wanted to do for a long time, and as long as you're happy, you know, you've got my support, you know, whatever. So we've been friends for a while. But, we decided we were gonna get an apartment. And it was gonna be a reverse Will and Grace, because, you know, she's lesbian and I am not, and, you know, it was gonna be great. So we ended up not getting the apartment. We instead got a ginormous house that we rented with, there was like 5 or 6 of us living in this house. It was crazy. Drunk Tuesdays, very exciting stuff. I had a good time. I was living it up. I had a good time. I was working in apartments as a porter, which is general groundskeeping, a little bit of maintenance here and there, basically getting the apartments ready for the next resident to move in when somebody else has moved out or they've been evicted or whatever. That's what I was doing. Loved it. Picked up a dead squirrel. It was great. Cleaned the vacuum the pool. Very, very manly stuff, and I loved it. I loved it for a while. And then it got old, but whatever. So, at this point, I'm still mourning and pining over the loss of my first love. And I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was working in apartments, and I was also working for, it was kind of like Ross, TJ Maxx, but not really. Same kind of thing, just different store, whatever. I was a supervisor at that store and key carrier. So my store manager was in the store. We were both working that day. We were the only 2 people working that day from open to close. But we had called in somebody to cover our lunches. And so I had gone to the bank to make the deposit, and I'm sitting in the parking lot. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. I'm sitting in the parking lot, and I said, okay, I'm done. I'm done with women. I want nothing to do with them. They are nothing but trouble. I will be celibate for the rest of my life. Yeah, okay. So I walk back in the store after, you know, swearing my life away. And there's this girl, and she's bent over the counter talking to my coworker that we had called in to, you know, cover lunches or whatever. And she looks over at me and she goes, hey. And my coworker looks over at me and goes, hey, have you met her? I'm like, no. And she was cute, you know, whatever. So I told my coworker, I said, hey, I'm gonna go drop the deposit slips off in the office. I think store manager's on a conference call, but I want to go ahead and take my lunch, and then when I get back, you can go, you know, whatever, because my store manager already taken her lunch. Anyway, I don't know why I'm giving you all these details you don't care anything about. Anyway, so come back out of the office and start talking to this girl and my coworker, and I said something. My coworker and I had a very flirtatious relationship. She was engaged to some very masculine straight guy, and then there's me. But there was never anything behind it. It was just, for both of us, it was just playful, harmless flirting back and forth. And so I made the comment, I said something about, yeah, right, can you see the 2 of us together, or something like that. And the chick on the other side of the counter leans over, and hair down to her ass, big huge hazel eyes, looks over at me and goes, can you see the 2 of us dating? I went, I can now, how you doing? So we spent the next 3 hours talking. By the time she left, I had 2 phone numbers from her and explicit directions to call her. So I was elated. I was like, holy shit, man, you know, whatever. So I get home and I worked my apartment job for the next 2 days. I called her. We started talking, and that started the whole thing. We ended up being together for almost 2 years. That was probably the best and worst decision I ever made. Bitch was crazy. And I don't mean that in an offensive way to anybody out there. Bitch was crazy. gave me the silent treatment for 2 hours because I forgot to shut the blinds before I went to work that day. Just crazy, crazy shit. All the time. Like, it wasn't... I really thought she was bipolar. Like, I took her out to... I took her out to my counselor that I had seen, who I didn't know at the time had been humoring me. So I took her out to her. She's like, yeah, she's bipolar, in one visit, really. So we come back out. We come back out to Dallas, and we try to figure out where to go from there, and it just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And finally, I told her, I said, we've got to fix this, or you're gonna drive me crazy. So I found another counselor in Dallas, which was where we were at the time, and she ended up being okay for a minute, until she tried to tell me that I not only was not trans, but I wasn't gay either. Yeah, that went over real well. We didn't go back. So, she ended up cheating on me with a mutual friend, whatever. I think they're still together. Whatever, I don't care. So, during that, year and a half, almost 2 years we were together, she was very controlling, she was very manipulative. I couldn't go see my family without her. I couldn't leave the house without her. The only places that she would go without me were to work, and to see her mom. And other than that, I had to go. I couldn't go to the grocery store by myself. I couldn't, nothing. And she always played it with the cover of, oh, something could happen to you and I wouldn't know because your family hates me, and so they would never tell me that anything had happened to you, whatever. At the time I bought into it, I was in a place, I had no support being trans. I had 3 or 4 people, but other than that, they were just friends. I mean, they weren't even friends that I had for a while. I had the one, but, anybody going through, being gay needs more than, one buddy in their corner. They need, the bigger the system, the better, basically. And trans is no different. Trans, I don't want to say is a lot more complicated, but there's, in my opinion, and y'all can, tell me to go to hell or whatever if you think I'm wrong, but there's a lot more to being trans than just being gay. For me, I not only had to come to terms with the fact that I like girls, but then I had to come to terms with the fact that I'm not one. Like, I had always known, but just the realization of, holy shit, this is a legit thing, and this is my life. This is the way that I live my life every day. It was really weird. It was really hard to handle, especially not having a support system. So, while I was with this girl, she completely cut everything away from me. I didn't see my mom for 2 years, but that was trans related. She didn't have a whole lot to do with that. She completely cut me out. Like, it was me and her, and that was it. And I think she liked it that way, because the fewer people that had contact with me, the less likely I was to be influenced into thinking that, into realizing what she was actually doing. All of that to say, she convinced me that I wasn't trans, that this was something that I had made up to kind of buffer the fact that I was gay. So that way, if I was straight, if I was a guy, then I could be straight. It wouldn't be that big a deal. But in reality, I really was a lesbian. I just didn't want to admit it because I'd been taught for so long that it was wrong. That it was a sin, that I was going to hell, whatever. Again, not being offensive to anybody out there. That's just what I was raised to believe. So, like I said, she ended up cheating on me with a mutual friend, and then, after that, I didn't ever visit the trans thing again. I mean, it was always in the back of my mind. It was always, I had continued dressing really masculine. I was still going, by male names or whatever, and all of that. But I'd given up on the pronouns, I mean, it was what it was. If I got called sir at work, then, that was cool, but if not, whatever. I try not to use the restroom in public if I could help it. I still don't for right now, for obvious reasons, but, life kind of just went on, with me just, trying to fit into this really butch lesbian box, I guess. But it still didn't seem right, So then about a year ago, I made the decision to move from Dallas, where I'd been since I was 20, so I spent 6 years in Dallas. I decided that with my mom being here, Georgia was where I needed to be. And so I said, alright, well, okay. And the stars had finally, aligned, and that's where I decided that I was meant to be, at least for right now. So I made the move, and about 4.5 months ago, I walked into a local gay bar, and there was a shot girl, and that was when my life really began. And that sounds cliche, and it sounds really corny and really cheesy, and when she watches this later, she's at work now, but when she watches this later, she's gonna be like, you are such a doofus, but I love you. I can't even put into words what happened when I saw her. Yeah, it's just, it's ridiculous. Like, we laugh about it now. We've laughed about it for 4.5 months. But something happened that night for both of us. She says she saw me walk in, and I say I felt her before I saw her. It was, God, I'm really cheesy. It was magic. Like, it really was. I've never experienced anything like that before in my life. Well, long story short, she was in a complicated situation, to put it lightly. We spent a month talking, spent 3 days kind of, just getting to know each other as friends, whatever. Well, our full intention was to just stay friends, and that was going to be, because she was in a complicated situation. So, that lasted about 3 days. And for the next month, we got closer. We got, inseparable, actually. Well, when we weren't forced to be separated due to circumstances. So, about 3 months ago, she was able to get out of her complicated situation and moved in with some friends of ours. And then I moved in about 2 months ago. So, we're getting married next summer. We've already talked about having 4 kids together. They are all named, yes, don't judge us. And to say that I am the luckiest son of a bitch on the planet just doesn't even do it justice. But that's for her to hear and not any of y'all. So, all of that to say, I am transgendered. It's not really something I'm proud of, but I'm to the point now where I really don't give a damn. I cannot continue to look in the mirror every day for the rest of my life and continue to see a stranger. I can't picture a life with my fiance 50 years from now as a really old lesbian. I can't picture our kids calling me anything but daddy. And that's what I want more than anything. I want to be happy with her for the rest of our lives. I want kids with her. I just want us to be happy, you know? And I feel like the only way that I can truly be happy with her, I mean, I am, don't get me wrong. I'm over the moon happy with her. But I feel like I could be even more happy if I was happier with myself. Does that make sense? She's in full support. She's actually what kick-started this the second time around. I hadn't even mentioned, I told her before that I had gone through a trans phase, as I think I called it. But that I decided it wasn't for me, and, you know, it wasn't worth losing my family, because that was a big thing. That was a big, big thing. Like I said earlier, my mom is my best friend. Has been up until recently. But she can't handle it. She can't, for whatever reason. She won't tell me. I will ask her, you know, why this is such a big deal. Why, you know, changing my gender is this horrible thing that she feels the need to disown me over. Her words, not mine. She has said verbatim, if you decide to change your gender, you will lose me and your sisters. Cool. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate it. So, I had no support there at all. My fiance's family, on the other hand, have been nothing but completely supportive. Her parents don't know yet, just because I have a doctor's appointment on July 15th, to get my hormone levels tested. I have always felt like I have more testosterone than I should for a female. Go figure. But I don't. I'm kind of keeping this little nugget under my hat for now, until I feel like I have something concrete and medically, what's the word? Well, either way, you know what I'm talking about. Concrete, I guess, would be a good word. So yeah, until I feel like I have something more concrete to bring to them once I get the test results in, and I can bring it to them and say, look, this here, it's right here. I feel like once I can do that, then I'll be better able to answer their questions from a medical standpoint. I'm very open about all of this. I'm open with the people that I already know. I'm gonna throw 10 out there, just because I'm not entirely sure what the exact number is. Between 8, 12, somewhere in there. But there's a very select group of people that know. At this point, I'm making sure, I feel like the people that I'm telling now are the ones that I know in the back of my mind that they're not going to care, that they're going to be supportive, because I know, having been down this road once before already, I have to have that support system. And I've got a brother of mine who's trans as well. I met him about 7 years ago. He's here in Georgia as well, and it's actually his doctor that I'm going to go see, and he's going with me, and he's been on T for 7 years. He's legally married to his wife. They're planning on having babies, hopefully very soon, because I'm ready to be an uncle. But he's a great guy. And so I've got him and his wife and his mom, who also had a very hard time with it at first, and then she came around and realized that she wasn't losing a daughter, she was gaining a son. It's so weird, isn't that like a wedding thing? Anyway, so yeah, I've got support from my fiance's family. I've got support from my brother and his wife and his mom and all of that. People at work. There's a couple of people at work that know. I'm not quite ready to come out yet. But I feel like, again, the more information that I have, the better. The better it'll go over. The better it'll be for me. And like I said, I'm open about it. If y'all want to leave comments and ask questions or whatever, by all means, feel free. I will answer any of them that I can to the best of my ability. And if I don't know the answer, then I will find out, because that's what I do. So, doctor's appointment July 15th to get the hormone levels checked, and then it all starts from there. So, I know this video is a little early. It's like 3 weeks out, but it's really been on my mind for the last couple of days. I just felt like I needed to get my story out there and to figure out how this whole YouTube thing works, because I'm planning on doing weekly updates for probably the first year or so, and then after that it'll probably be once a month. Well, it'll depend on how my transition goes. So, real quick, I think I'm gonna wrap this up here in a little bit. To all of you guys out there that are going through this, I have 2 pearls of wisdom. First and foremost, actually, we're gonna make this a few pearls of wisdom. First and foremost, make sure this is what you really want, because testosterone does take some time for there to be irreparable results. I think it's a year or 2. But once this decision is made, it's very hard to unmake that decision. Trust me. Been there, done that. And then if you could decide to make it again, then people really start to think you're kind of crazy. So, make sure this is something you really, really want to do. That's number 1. Number 2, make sure the time is right for you. Make sure that you're ready for it. Don't let anybody pressure you into it. Don't let anybody pressure you out of it. But understand that if you do come out as trans and then you decide, the support system's not there, or the confidence isn't there, or whatever, spend some time on YouTube. Look for your trans brothers, because I'm telling you, we're out here. I'm gonna give a shout out. Electric Dade is a really good one. He's got a lot of, he documented his entire transition, and he's still uploading videos, and he's been on testosterone for about 1.5 years, 2 years, something like that. He's a really great guy from what I've seen on the videos. And he's pretty much, he knows exactly what we're going through. So he's a good one. I would definitely check him out. Like I said, just make sure that that you're ready, that you have that support system, because I promise you, you're not going through it alone. I didn't know that at the time that I decided to transition the first time, and I think that was where I didn't really fail. That was why I kind of hesitated, I guess, and kind of thought, well, maybe this isn't what I need, maybe this isn't, what I want. The support system is everything. And if you guys reach out to me and like I said, you have questions or whatever, like I said, I'll tell you exactly how it is. And like I said, I'll answer any questions that I can as best I can. But I will support all of you in what you decide, whatever that may be. Just make sure that you don't come out before you're ready. And once you are ready, don't let anybody talk you out of it. You get one shot at this life. And this life is about you. It's your life. That may sound kind of selfish and make me out to be a dick, but, whatever. I've been called worse in the past couple weeks, trust me. So, know that it comes at a price. Sometimes it does, and sometimes, thankfully, it doesn't. Mine will. Mine will probably cost me my entire family. Say for maybe 2 sisters, maybe. But that's up to them. One of them is 18, the other one's 16. So the 18-year-old, that'll be her decision. And then the 16-year-old will just depend on stuff. So, I guess that was the second one. The third one, get your hormone levels checked. Before you do anything else, get your hormone levels checked before you start taking testosterone. And here's why. First reasoning, it gives you a starting point. When you're going into the doctor to take a first shot of testosterone, if they give you too little, you're not going to receive the results that you want to see as quickly as you want to see them, because your system says, okay, you're giving me 5 milligrams of testosterone, I already have 12. You know, totally skewed numbers. Please don't quote me on those. Just throwing it out there. On the flip side of that, if you have 12 and they give you 85, your body's not going to be used to having that much testosterone, and that can be dangerous. So, I highly, highly, highly recommend getting your hormone levels checked, for a number of reasons, that being the first and most important. The second, it gives you a baseline. That way you know exactly where you started, and as you progress and you're on testosterone and you're getting your shots weekly and then monthly and then, you know, whatever, you know where you're at, compared to where you've been. You not only have the picture proof, but you've got the number proof as well that says, I started here, and a year later, I'm here. That's just, you know, for personal, you know, look at what I did kind of thing. So, those are my wonderful pearls of wisdom. Again, if you want to leave comments, ask questions, you know, whatever, I will appreciate all of them. There will definitely be more to come. Like I said, I'm going to try and document this entire thing. I think I've gotten over my camera shyness. And this is my first take. I didn't have to, well, second. The first one, I just kind of hit record and then froze for 3 seconds. So I was like, yeah, I got to do this. So, but I wanted my story out there. I wanted you guys to know that just because you may not make it the first time, doesn't mean that it's not who you are. You have to be ready. You have to be ready. You have to be ready for the price that it may cost. If you know your family's not going to be accepting or understanding, you have to know that there's a possibility that you're going to lose them. That this isn't going to be, you know, easy, and that you may end up losing them. And once you get the support system built where you don't necessarily need your family, I mean, obviously you want them there, maybe you don't. I mean, I do. I want mine there. But that's a decision that they're going to have to make. And unfortunately, right now, they've made that decision. Hopefully they'll come around later. But if they don't, to the point, I honestly don't care. That's your decision. That's your life. I'm going to go live mine the way that I want to live it. So, all of that to say, keep strong. Don't lose faith in yourself. Build that support system. And live this life for you. Like I said, you only get one shot at it. Make it good. And I will talk to you guys, probably, doctor's appointment's on the 15th. I get the results 10 days later. You'll probably hear from me somewhere between the 25th and 30th, first of the year, somewhere, or first of the month, 1st of August, somewhere in there. And I'll talk to y'all then. Later.